of post-COVID challenges. Are there any opportunities for management researcher? At the outset, I must thank Honorable Vice Chancellor that he has spared his valuable time to be here on this particular occasion. I must also thank Head of the Department. I thank my friend and great motivator, Dr. Manoj Das. He always gives me some new themes, which keeps us all busy. And I'm sure you must have also tested his organizational skills. I also thank Rahul. Rahul is a great management researcher, and he has become very active on YouTube, and that is going to be the medium which will be post-COVID. And I also thank Sahu sir for arranging this nice technical infrastructure and then trying to understand what we are trying to do. So basically, today's topic is for management researcher. Before we formally start, let us try to understand what management research is about. Technically, it is a form of systematic inquiry that contributes to the domain knowledge in the field of management. And very broadly, it is research for managers as well as research about management and organization. So as a typical management researcher, we try to study the organization, we try to study the people, we try to study the practices, we also try to theorize that why a particular phenomenon occurs or why it doesn't happen the way we try to imagine. So broadly, when we talk about management researcher is basically concerned about management, about people, about theories, about practices and principles of management, the way they are being implemented in a particular context. So briefly, I'll be talking about COVID at a very broad level, what is its impact, and in a short term, what has been our response to COVID. Then what are the typical challenges? And as a researcher, what I need to do? Similarly, COVID, what are the implications and opportunities that it offers? And then we'll try to summarize what are the broad areas where we can continue to work and which will give a good material as far as the management research is concerned. So first, let me talk about the context and its impact. And as Honorable Vice Chancellor has said, COVID has affected almost everyone, and it has set the entire globe into turbulence. And we are witnessing very, very unprecedented times, which we could have never imagined. On 11th February 2020, WHO had declared this as pandemic. It is almost 107 days since that declaration. In India, we started lockout in 4th week of February. It is almost 65 days since we are in the lockdown condition, and different states are in different stages of lockdown. And at a very broad level, from management research point of view, the entire leadership has been seriously challenged. You talk about US, you talk about Europe, you talk about other countries. Everywhere there is a serious problem about governance, the way we perceived this COVID, and typically our response to that. And in a management parlance, we typically called as VUCA, the volatile environment, highly uncertain environment, very complex and highly ambiguous. But that term has become kind of an understatement as far as COVID-19 is concerned. It is much more than VUCA because the entire humanity is facing this challenge, which nobody could have imagined, let us say, 100 days back. And in this challenging time, the research is also going to be very exciting as well as challenging. So this session, I would like to articulate what is the narrative for the researchers and per se the process of research. And we must also admit that our understanding is under continuous review. What view was there, let us say 1 month back, may not be valid now. What we are holding now may not be valid even at a short distance of 15 days from now, and so on. So it is under continuous revision. And in that light, whatever we are going to share is to be looked at. There is a professor of finance, Professor Anand Taleb. He calls what is called as a black swan event, a very unpredictable event, which is rare. It has extreme impact and a retrospective predictability, though not prospectively. COVID-19 fulfills all these three conditions. It is rare. It has had extreme impact on every domain of human life, whether it is business, whether it is politics, whether it is governance, economics. You talk any area and it has been severely affected by COVID. So this is an interesting insight offered by Professor Taleb. And he talks about the financial system. Same description is valid about COVID. And for all of us, it really came as a huge and rude shock while we're just busy in our academic session. For example, at IIT Delhi, 2/3 of our session was over. 1/3 was still remaining. Our end semester exams are still to be over. Many processes are held up. The recruitment process has been held up. The recruitment for non-faculty staff is also held up. Now slowly it has started online. But our entire workflow has been severely affected. So as immediate response, the response was trivial, response was obvious, that we started doing so-called online teaching learning. We started using Zoom. We started using Microsoft Teams, other parallel applications like WebEx and so on. And at IIT Delhi, we also use a learning management system called as Moodle, which is an open source learning management system. We also started conducting online exams and so on. So from academic side, this was our immediate response. On the other side, especially at IIT Delhi, there were many startups which got into action. One of the startup, it has produced a reusable facial mask that is coming from a startup called as NSAID. Similarly, IIT Delhi has contributed in developing a test kit. There is work going on in improving the quality of respirator and so on. Similarly, other IITs have also gone into action. And IIT Alumni Council, they swing into action and they form a IIT, what is called as task force, C19 task force, to channelize the global IIT alumni. And as a result of that, they donated one bus through IIT Bombay for quick collection of samples and reduce the time for testing of coronavirus. And NIT's side, there are about 150 projects which are on various items, including test kit, sanitation, and so on. So that was the response from academic side. Action. Automobile manufacturer like Maruti, they are producing about 300 ventilators per day, and slowly that capacity will be ramped up. Some of the state-of-the-art manufacturers, they're also using 3D printing for making the state-of-the-art ventilators. CSIR has joined hands with Tata Sun for deployment of widespread use of facility for mass testing, and so on. So what we learn from this, that given an opportunity, given the time pressure, and given its huge impact to the surrounding community, we can do what is called as a demand-driven research, a research which can produce applied research, which can produce results in shorter lead times, given a full backing and support by various stakeholders. So this is to be noted. And typically what we say in management domain, that sometimes the nature of the problem is known, the solution is also known. The complexity comes when the nature of solution is also not known and the nature of problem is also unknown. So what I have shown here, the question mark, is the domain occupied by COVID. We really do not know the entirety of the problem, the full complexity of the problem, and neither we have a clear picture the kind of solution we are going to suggest. So it is a typical unknown quadrant where we are basically trying to experiment. We are trying to test a variety of solutions and so on. But the problem is really complex. And this problem also beset a lot of challenges. And these challenges are literally coming from different domains. There are economic challenges, there are social challenges, and as I said earlier, there are serious governance challenges, policy challenges. We must have seen what we have been observing for last 100+ days. Policy keeps on revising. We learn from other nations. Other nations are also trying to learn from India and so on. And at the science and technology level, there is a constant search for so-called vaccine for COVID-19. And from management researcher point of view, there is a huge behavioral challenge that in this period, we have also seen a drastic change, drastic kind of behavioral pattern, which is emerging as dictated by the COVID. And in this situation, we have to live. And at the same time, as a human being, as a researcher, we must also keep on understanding the phenomenon. So as I said, this is a black swan event, which is characterized by extreme impact. And in the economic domain, in the finance domain, what has been projected is there are three distinct types of recession: real recession, policy recession, and financial crisis. There is a very interesting paper. I'm sure all of you must be aware of this, which has come in Harvard Business Review of March 2020. Carlson and his colleagues, they have predicted what is likely to be the recovery path. And this recovery path for economy in terms of GDP and the percentage GDP growth is characterized in three scenarios. One, what is called as a V scenario, a U scenario, and L scenario. I'm sure Professor Manoj Dash will be able to appreciate this. And at this moment, we are really not sure which particular recovery path our economy is going to take, or the economy in our neighboring countries is going to take, or a particular path which will be followed, let us say, by Europe or US. We're not sure. But this is just what has been forecasted. And as we gather more and more evidence, it will provide some kind of inputs to the policy planners that what should be the possible path. So as I said, the challenge could be, are there any other paths which are possible, especially for our economy, which has a very different mix of manufacturing, services, and agriculture. So can we characterize the recovery path of our economy? If so, what should be the basis for that? What data we need to collect? Because for this, fortunately or unfortunately, there is no history that is available. Similarly, what is going to be the social impact? What is going to be the cultural impact of this? And are there any so-called policy frameworks to analyze this? I will also draw your attention to another interesting study, which is done by KPMG. So KPMG has come out with this study on what is the potential impact of COVID on economy, especially Indian economy. And in their, what they say, there is going to be new normal. And this new normal is characterized by these following 6 shifts. The shift towards localization, a huge push for digital. We have seen in our education, our lecture content has gone digital and online. Then cash is king for businesses. The cash flow is severely affected. And unless there is a cash in the market, businesses are not going to survive. And in this period, there is a move towards managing business based on variable cost model. Similarly, supply chains have been severely affected. You recall the origin of this virus. It started from China, and China is also host and mother for many of the supply chains. And many of the supply chains have been severely affected to the extent that a business leader like Apple is also seriously affected by that. So there is a thinking that the supply chains must be resilient. Supply chain must have a new definition by which they can incorporate how to manage risk and how to be resilient in such kind of troubled times. And this also calls for some kind of an inbuilt agility into the system, agility in various sectors, agility in a particular product, and so on. So from management researcher point of view, it will be interesting to study impact of each one of them. So KPMG, what they have done, they have studied the impact on 16 different sectors like apparel, automobile, aviation, education, MSME, and so on. So this is having a different purpose. It is basically from policy planners' point of view. As a management researcher, the challenge is basically how to quantify this impact for a particular sector. Let us say sector like MSME or sector like power. Can we study this in detail and understand what are the medium term and long term impact on each of them? For example, in education, what will be the requirement for skilling? Do we need to upgrade the skills? Answer is yes. To what level we need to upgrade our skills? What is the financial requirement for upgrading the skills, and so on? Similarly, can we project the manpower requirement? in each sector, say mining, power, and so on. Similarly, can we put some theoretical framework to understand the interplay of various macro and microeconomic variables and try to understand them? So that will be also interesting to study. And I will also draw your attention to a very interesting model. This model is not coming from business. This model comes from the domain of medical. There is a very interesting book about death and dying. And this model was proposed in 1969, almost 50 years. This is the 50th anniversary edition of this book. And this is proposed by a researcher, Kubler-Ross. She proposed that what is our response as an individual to the ultimate, the terminal event of death. Suppose you imagine the psychology of a cancer patient. So the first phase is that of a shock. Then the next phase is some kind of a denial that this cannot happen to me. We also thought that the coronavirus cannot have impact on India. It may be having on Italy, it may be on USA, but not on India. Then the next phase is frustration. Next phase is acute depression. Once we are in a depressed state, the human behavior is such that it also tries to experiment. That even though the case is totally gone, so let me try to experiment. Let me try various alternatives and so on. So in this process, we learn many new things. And once we learn new things, our body, the human psyche, is basically able to adopt the environment. And that is the phase of what is called as integration. So even though it is applied to human body, trying to rationalize the behavior on the deathbed, it is also equally applicable to our situation of COVID. And now we are in a stage where we can experiment, we can try, maybe we can fail in some decision, but definitely the hope is that we'll be able to integrate with the world economy soon. So this is also kind of a behavioral model we have to study in detail. And in this process of experimentation, so we say the trajectory for different kind of innovation. And if these innovations have been successful, what are the typical critical success factors for those innovations to be in place? Can we get some kind of an evidence by which we try to experiment? Are there any factors which are highly culture specific, which are highly context specific, or maybe there are certain factors which are cross-cultural? Maybe we can study India versus somebody, some other country, and so on. Rise to some kind of a competitiveness in a particular sector. So basically, we have to understand our short-term response vis-a-vis the long-term response. At this stage, we are really not sure what will be the long-term response. Instead, we are dealing with a situation of unknown and unknown. But at the same time, we are also taking a chance. We are also trying to build our capacity. We are also trying to respond, maybe in incremental way. And this ability to change, this ability to adapt, and this flexibility in the system also need to be acknowledged. And this is to be rewarded by researching on such kind of topic. Because when we accumulate some short-term thinking, maybe in the long term, we'll be having a clear picture as how to respond to Corona. So that is what I talked about, different types of challenges coming from different domains. Now let me talk about what are the roles for researcher. So typically, as I said, as a researcher, we have seen in last 70, 75 days that everybody is talking about online. Everybody is talking about the online media by which we can collaborate, the way we are interacting, or the way we can deliver our instruction. So in this matter, the IT has provided as a great enabler through social media, through crowdsourcing, or maybe through crowdfunding. And on the technical side, it is also being aided by AI, machine learning, and the environment which is provided through cloud computing, by which the cost of computing, cost of storage is hardly anything. All this, what it implies is that as a researcher, our role is also to assume a significant competency as far as digital skill set is concerned. Because unless we upgrade ourselves, we'll not be able to call ourselves as a good management researcher. So the implication is that as a management researcher, our digital competency must be enhanced. And this COVID has also put some of the attributes of management researcher in different light. For example, our ability to connect with others, the basic spirit of empathy and compassion, our flexibility and adaptability, the way we try to innovate, or in trying to innovate, we also take the route of enterprise and we try to put some business model by which this innovation is also monetized. And as we have seen, we have to also live with limited resources. The lockdown period has amply demonstrated that we can manage with the limited resources. And this is also going to be a great ability for researcher that given this kind of situation, are we able to sustain the next? Similarly, are we able to connect with our community, and are we able to project what is called as worldview, the way we put our narrative and describe the situation. So all these attributes are going to be very important for a management researcher. And in order to acquire this, what we have to do, we have to observe the environment carefully. We have to study and take notes. We have to document evidences. And these days, it may not be possible to have good amount of field study, but we have to, digital resources are available. So these digital resources will help us in gathering evidences, not only from our local area, but from the surrounding region, or maybe from our neighboring nation. And for that, we must be able to leverage our online resources very productively. And we must also be in a position to understand and appreciate the human psyche, because that psyche is extremely important in dealing with such kind of very, very unusual situation. And when we are looking at this, what we have to be aware is that we must have the typical lens of a researcher. Like studying a research issue, we must be able to use this evidence and put in a proper framework or proper kind of a theoretical model by which we gain some understanding about the COVID-19. So we must, as a researcher, we must be able to identify our own strength, and that we must be able to dovetail our research philosophy with COVID-19. My request to all of you is that you just articulate that what is going to be your research philosophy, maybe in next 1 year, next 2 years, next 3 years. And how does it fit into the challenges which are being presented by COVID-19. And fortunately, the digital technology is available. We must be able to use this. We must be able to share and collaborate, by which this philosophy, whatever articulation we have done for our research agenda, we must be able to map with the challenges which have been posed by the COVID-19. As I say, unless we internalize research, we'll not be able to get the pleasure or the satisfaction coming out of carrying out such kind of high socially important research for society. In this situation, I would like to draw your attention what COVID has been using, the way medical fraternity using what is called as 3T model: track, test, and treat. So as a researcher, we should also be used to this kind of terminology. We must be able to track what is available elsewhere. We must be able to track what are the current topics of importance which are posed by COVID-19. And I am sure you must have seen the announcement, or many of the journals, they have made the resources freely available looking at the COVID-19 situation. So out of a huge digital repository, we must be able to track that, track the literature, the kind of announcement, the kind of themes which are going to be of importance to you. The next phase after tracking is testing. That let us say I track, let us say about 50 different things. Out of that, I should be able to narrow, let us say 5 or 6. And the treating will be then developing my own framework, my own understanding, or my own narrative on such kind of model. So first it is tracking, then trying to test, trying to shortlist, and then the shortlisted list has to be taken for further exploration as far as management research is concerned. So I call this as a 3T model, the way we look at the research themes which are available as far as management challenges are concerned because of COVID-19. And in this, we have to remember that healthcare is going to be the torch bearer. The entire research agenda is going to be decided by healthcare. And healthcare is such a beautiful landscape. It offers immense opportunity, whether it is finance, whether it is strategy, whether it is supply chain, whether it is, let us say, innovations, the drug delivery, and so on. So such research will be an innovative mix of technology, sciences, and social sciences, not to say about the management research. So management research has to innovatively mix all this and come out with some kind of a narrative for researching this particular theme. And this is going to be also interesting because the research that we'll be doing will be of doing a great good to the entire community. Rather than bothered about our publication, we must also think about making some impact on community. So I think COVID has also given a good opportunity for we all researchers to move from individual to group, to act as a team player, because nobody knows how the game is going to be played, because everybody is also trying to experiment, everybody is also trying to innovate. So it is better to share, learn from each other, collaborate our, let us say, global research partner, and come out with a good agenda for research. And in this, I must also say that there cannot be a so-called ready-made solution or a solution which will work for everyone. That one size fits all, it is just not feasible. And we have to also look at the local issue. And at the same time, we have to be keeping the aspirations of global. As This has been said local to global via vocal. And that vocal is basically articulating our models, our framework, our theoretical perspectives, and so on. And accordingly, we should be able to contribute to the domain of research. And as I said, this COVID has also demolished the so-called global leadership. It has also challenged the very concept of global supply chain, because all supply chain, because of its intrinsic nature, have been seriously affected. Now, can there be a good alternative to the view of global supply chain? Can we integrate the local supply chain, promote them, and then think of a different player? Think of a different plane where the needs are to be satisfied using some different architecture. Similarly, it has also forced us to rethink about the concept of global village. As I said, it has affected both personally and professionally. And this is quite clear that funding is also going to be less, and there will be a lot of competition for good project, which will basically try to research on various aspects of COVID. And at least for some time now, the field studies are going to be seriously affected by this. And on the positive side, as I said, Zoom-based interactions are going to increase, whether it is between you and your student, you and your peer group, or maybe the experts in that particular area. These are going to be of a different magnitude. And that will also lead to a huge digital penetration, whether we like it or not. And as I said, this has also given us an opportunity to look at the basic concept of empathy and compassion. And a very tiny virus, it has forced the so-called global solidarity in this hour. And that has also forced us to look at some of the keywords. So I have just given a graphical representation. So which are the keywords which are going to be important? Sustainability is a very, very important keyword. COP or communities of practices is going to be very important. Empowerment is going to be important. Adaptability, flexibility, resilience. So this is just a tentative list of keywords. These keywords are going to guide we all management researcher, whether it is from finance or from strategy or supply chain. So kindly keep a note of these keywords on which we have to work. And as I said, healthcare is going to decide the future research agenda, and social analytics is going to play a very, very significant role in that. What is going to be the group dynamics? What is going to be the social behavior? As I said, the behavioral challenges are of different magnitude, of different quality, and they will also bring a lot of inner dynamics into picture. And what is going to be community response, that also remains to be seen. So in this case, I must also draw your attention to a very relevant book in this time, that is the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You are all aware of this, being a management researcher. I will draw your attention to habit number 7. And habit number 7 is very, very important. So this we must be aware. And that habit is basically for sharpening the saw. In this period, we must sharpen our tools. We must renew ourselves socially, mentally, and spiritually. Because unless we do this, our basic motivation to conduct research, to carry out research, will not be sustainable. And this also calls for nurturing a very healthy and active relationship with the online community. And at the same time, we cannot forget the nuances and problems which are being faced by local community. And we have to put ourselves into their frame and try to understand their problems. So what it calls that we must update and update ourselves. So if we are coming from education, We must be a better teacher tomorrow than what we were yesterday. And unless we sharpen ourselves, unless we vigorously update ourselves, this is not going to happen. So this lockdown and the so-called social distancing has also given a good opportunity to sharpen ourselves. So from that point of view, we must enhance our competency in various domains. We must upgrade ourselves. Let us say if I do not know anything about Python, if I do not know anything about R, I must be able to learn that. And there are a lot of TEDx, TED Talks available on YouTube. We must be able to make use of this. And as I said, many of the journals, they have made their resources freely available. So we must use this opportunity to upgrade ourselves, to at least know what is happening elsewhere and so on. So there is a beautiful framework, what is called as researcher development framework. So I will draw your attention to this link, and my request is that you must try to understand the framework. And out of that, there is a very, very important domain, what is called as engagement, influence, and impact. Now, this domain is going to be of extreme importance, especially as far as COVID-19 research is concerned. How do we work with others? How do we engage ourselves? And how do I make myself impact visible to the society, as well as how do I actively engage in public engagement courses? So I think that is going to be extremely important as dictated by COVID-19. So as a researcher, we must be an informed researcher, a balanced researcher, a leader in our own domain. We must be also engaging, and creativity and innovation is the hallmark of a researcher. And we must be also able to leverage the so-called enterprise skills within our. So that is going to be deciding what kind of responsibility is there as far as researcher is concerned. Now I'm going to talk about the implications and opportunities which are available because of COVID. As I said, the healthcare is going to be there. And I have listed some areas in different domains. For example, supply chain and operation. The mix of localized versus globalized supply chain is going to be very, very important. COVID has also given an opportunity to look at the disaster, the way humanitarian supply chains are being handled. Similarly, how do I characterize resilience in the supply chain? And now there is a talk that some of the factories will be relocated, let us say out of China, out of the countries which have been severely affected by COVID. Then what are the relocation factors which is going to decide this? For example, Samsung has decided that it will shift its manufacturing base to India. Now, from supply chain point of view, can we evaluate objectively that what is the impact of variety of relocation factors and so on? Similarly, when we talk about HR and OB, so can we also talk about feature of worker well-being, management of post-COVID stress, how it is going to affect the workplace? Similarly, how do we really incentivize these so-called FLW or frontline workers and so on? Similarly, as far as marketing is concerned, can we have so-called pandemic forecasting in marketing strategy? Or what is going to be online sales growth in developing, let us say, e-commerce market for a particular segment, be it FMCG or consumer durables and so on. So this will be some of the exciting things on which we can work. Similarly, we have all seen for the last few days the problem of migration, the dynamics of migration. It is not simply migration from village to city and vice versa, but there are many economic, sociological, and psychological factors associated with migration. And fortunately, now we have got huge database available with us. So can we study the dynamics of migration, the supply and demand economics of non-essential goods? How it is being governed. Similarly, our Prime Minister has announced the Atmanirbhar Bharat. So what are the implications of this? How our GDP is going to be behaving? And as I said, the recovery path for India is going to be different from what I projected, whether it is L-shaped or U-shaped or V-shaped. What will be the contribution of Atmanirbhar Bharat? So I think that is also worth studying, and that opportunity has been given by COVID-19. Similarly, as far as strategy is concerned, can we study a variety of competitiveness factors for online businesses? What are the innovations in remote access tools? Similarly, from finance point of view, can we revisit the issue of non-performing asset and so on? So these are going to be some of the indicative themes which are going to keep us busy. And these themes are going to be our basically the way we look forward in offering opportunities as far as the so-called research landscape is concerned. And we must say that we basically study on huge population sample. But at least for some time, that large population sample is not going to be possible physically. So we have to rely on electronic means for data collection. And maybe we borrow huge terminology, tools and techniques from AI and machine learning, and that will also help us in some of these areas to be explored further. And similarly, the way we are going to interact with pandemics and other emergency and our way of adapting ourselves is also going to decide the resilience and the kind of innovative spirit what we are going to do. So as I said, it has offered a huge opportunity, even though initially it came as a shock, but our resilience, our spirit of experimentation, and the natural spirit of adaptability has been put to test. So, as a researcher, we must be able to connect ourselves with the organization, institute where we are working, and on a bigger scale, we must be able to connect with the society. And COVID-19 has a huge potential for ourselves to be connected. We must explore and experiment. And that is all possible thanks to the digital resources which are available. And we must leverage them, we must exploit them, and come out with new and interesting thing which will be having huge impact on society. And as an individual, it will also give a greater degree of satisfaction. So in summary, what I would say that we must appreciate the deep impact of COVID. We must also appreciate the human resilience and basic tenacity, the spirit of experimentation. And this also has given an opportunity to reinterpret our role. We have to be closer to society. We have to be closer to community. And unless we identify ourselves with community, our role will not be satisfying. Our role will not be fulfilling the mandate which has been given by this. And this also gives an opportunity, especially the lockdown period has given an opportunity to sharpen our tool set, to sharpen our saw, and that has also given a new way by which we can collaborate with our peer group abroad and so on. And as I said, these are just indicative things. And I'm sure you can explore in your own area with COVID-19 as a huge backdrop, having huge potential where all the studies are going to be remembered. So this is also a time to reflect, sharpen our reflexes, and respond to the big challenge. As I said, it is an unknown situation. We must be able to respond. And as a management researcher, I'm sure we are all going to utilize this opportunity to respond to this challenge and come out with new understanding, our new worldview, that what the new world is going to look like post COVID-19. So thank you very much for your kind attention, and I'm sure we can have comments and observation from you.
Thank you, sir. Now question hour session, Sarda sir. Ask
Yeah, yeah. I
Yes.
request we will take few questions as time will not permit us.
Okay.
But however, I request participants to pose questions in chat box so that we can quickly go through the questions and Professor Deshmukh will answer the questions. Actually, there was a question asked by Professor Sudhakar Patra. In the earlier slides, it was discussed about recession. The question was kindly focus on the real recession. What is the exact meaning of real recession? That was asked by Professor Patra.
Yes, real recession is very depressing. I think Manoj will be able to throw some light. So what the researcher have classified into three situations. Real recession is where the GDP growth is very in a very bad light, maybe sometimes negative. There are no employment opportunities. There is no so-called the spending power with people in the market. There is no growth in the economy. There is a huge unemployment, and we do not see any stimulus in the economy. I think that is what characterizes as the real recession. But now there is an argument that are we really facing the real recession or not? Now this is a big debatable point, and I think economists will be able to dwell on that. But from management research point of view, we have to basically understand the basic spirit of that how different sectors of economy are going to be affected by this.
We have some
Yes.
more questions here. What are the implications and methods used in management research that is arising out of the COVID-19 situation? Implication of methods. I mean, what kind of methods that can best suitable to address the COVID-19 kind of scenario?
So this is very interesting. The answer is very simple. Methods are going to be the same. But the way we use them, the way we interpret them, the way we connect, I think that is going to change. Basically, I would say, to begin with, we require a lot of qualitative research methods. Qualitative research methods are going to play a significant role. And as we gather more and more evidence, as we gather more and more data, then maybe we can migrate to so-called quantitative methods. But the classical methods of research are basically time immaterial. They are going to be time invariant. So they are going to be as they are. Only thing is the way we use them, the way we interpret outcome of this, that is going to be the challenge.
Now there is a question on the light of supply chain implications, like this electronic vaccination information system and distribution of vaccine is an important research area to
Yes.
keep us ready for coming days. So what kind of supply chain implications are there so far this distribution of vaccine is concerned?
Because vaccine is to be stored at certain temperature. It is basically a problem in cold supply chain. So vaccine, if it is not stored under proper condition, then that vaccine is of no use. You must have seen the polio vaccine. So polio vaccine requires certain condition. So the vaccine distribution is going to be a challenge because it is like a perishable commodity, and we must be able to understand that. Similarly, what is going to happen, that the way research is going, what they foresee is that there will be a lot of vaccine coming from different parts of the country. Within India, they see at least 3 or 4 centers which will be producing this. In Europe, a lot of research is going on. In US, a lot of research is going on. And in some cases, it will be vaccine plus some traditional medicine. So it will be a supply chain which will be having both the production of vaccine along with some additives or some other medicine. So that is going to pose a great challenge in modeling this.
So we can take some another 1-2 question. One of the important question is, sir, from your experience, because you have also worked with banking research organization, as I have seen your CV. So kindly just focus on how these organizations are going to manage their finance and liquidity conditions post-COVID scenario, because we have seen the banking sector which has been severely affected. So please throw some light on that.
This is a very tough question.
Because
bankers, Reserve Bank themselves, they are still grappling with the answer. And especially in our country, it is really a big problem. And frankly speaking, it is still trying to experiment, trying to make out. If you look at the package which has been given, how it is going to be actually executed, will it lead to more NPA? Will it lead to deterioration in the financial performance of banking and so on? Because this is one side. The other side which has been criticized, that unless there is a cash in the hands of customer, this is not going to happen. Whatever we have done is from the supply side. But from demand side, there has to be matching kind of a supply, matching, let us say, stimulant. Unless that comes into picture, the banking per se is not going to help much. So I think both the supply side and demand side, I think that has to be meshed properly.
I have a question here.
Yes.
There are 2 sections divided into academia. One section thinks if they research on COVID-19, then this is a burning issue, and their research will be used for longer time. And the second section of the academia thinks that COVID-19 is longer in duration, therefore research done on the COVID-19 will not have a good longevity, will not have a good life. So what is the correct situation? What is the, I need your directions, I need your guidance on that.
Yes. Now this is again a very challenging question, because nobody can forecast. But this has given an opportunity. See, it is like minimizing our risk. See, we have got different portfolios. We do not keep our, let us say, account in one bank, or we rely on a so-called financial portfolio. We want to even out our risk. Same thing happens to this. You are absolutely right. The longevity of this is question mark. We really do not know. It may be months, it could be even 5 years. Nobody knows. Everybody is grappling. But on the positive side, even though it is a short lived entity, the experience that we gather, the tools, additional tools we learn, and the themes that we pursue are not going to be vast. They are kind of an investment. They are not basically either or situation, but cumulatively, this is going to enhance our competence. So from that point of view, we have to look. It is not that after 6 months, the research doors will be closed for COVID. It is not possible. But for example, let us say we gather something on resilient supply chain. So it may be resilient supply chain for COVID, but resiliency is going to be a permanent feature. Tomorrow it could be something else. It could be a big disaster like earthquake, but the similar theory building is going to be useful. Similarly, the way we take our community into confidence. So we gather some evidence. So right now it is for COVID, but tomorrow it is going to be for something else. So this skill set is not going to go as west. And please understand, see, for us, for India, there is a huge opportunity. As I said, this demolishment of global leadership is one way it is good for us, because this has also given a good opportunity for the entire world to look at India. Now you are just seeing, Manoj will basically corroborate this. The so-called, the way we handle cyclone in Orissa, now that has put all together India in a different league together. So it has given a very good theory building as far as disaster management is concerned. And internally, we may not sing praise for ourselves, but the way India has handled disaster is definitely contributed to the theory building as far as management of disaster is concerned. So that is going to be cumulative. That is, that knowledge is not going to go as west. So my submission will be, take this opportunity, sharpen ourselves, try to look at the problems in a different context. So that gives a renewed understanding. And then maybe once this phenomenon is gone, maybe we pick up that knowledge, we build on the competencies we have gained and move to something else. That is how we have to look at it.
Thank you, sir. Sardar, can you summarize the things?
Actually, we have one more question. Can we take it, or we should go for?
It will be posted through the Gmail. Sir को mail करेंगे. Now
I'll be happy to answer
the things.
Okay.
I will share my PPT also.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Now I request our head of the department to speak something, and because you have given us the stimulus to organize this event, and only 3 days back we have idealized, and finally we have made it real. And this is what your spirit and your passion for working. So I request you to share your thoughts on this platform, please.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, sir, first of all, I'd like to thank for Desmukh, sir. So, in entire 1 hour and 15 hours, just I want to give a one-line statement, that is, don't be a team leader, be a team player. That is the essence of this talk. So, let's have started with from VUCA to VUL. Means how VUCA environment is converted into VUL environment. In the first 2 slides, we talk about how the today's scenario, we are not in VUCA, we are now in VUL environment. Then he talk about the new normalcy, that is KPMG studies. Then the beautiful analysis about important points I've seen about the things he talk about. That is not an academic point of view, it is a point of view that is called real decisions, policy decisions, and financial decision. And most of the questions I talk about 2 things: what is policy decision and what is real decision, because it is not in the books. So it is sir have taken something. So there is another point of thoughts for us to do a study about real decisions, policy decisions, and financial decisions. Then in the 5th point, we talk about attributes of the management researcher. What attributes a management researcher should have, so that he can equip the current challenges. You can think about the prospectus. You can think about the thing. So, sir, then he talk about another very important point. Sir, talk about researcher to assume digital competency. So I have seen this word from 2010 onwards. You have said nobody will be hide, because everyone is now in digital presence. So digital presence and digital hide is 2 different things. So now we are here. I'm in Odisha, sir is in Delhi, sir was in Gwalior. But now with the help of digital things, we can interact, we can disseminate knowledge, we can share our information. Sir, still 2010, I remember that word. Everyone should be in digital presence. The most important parts are explained about, that is Kobler-Rousseau change model, that is shocks to integration, that is death and dying model. So entirely I can say that, we can say that the entire session we can call as, don't be a team leader, being a researcher, be a team player. If you want to play, then only some strategy in your mind, then only you can think about, then the 3T concept, that is called track, test, and treat, can be carried out. Thank you very much, sir, for nice words and nice 1 hour sessions.
Thank you, Manoj. Thank you. I must thank Rahul.
Sir, all your blessings, sir.
Rahul, thanks a lot.
All your blessings, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I got an opportunity to hear you after long years.
I request Dr. Sardar our convener Vishwa Chatoi sir, if he is there, then he will give vote of thanks. Chatoi sir.
Okay, Dr. Chatoi is online.
Yes, sir. He is a convener of the program, sir. He is a finance faculty of our department and most experienced. So I request him to give vote of thanks.
Very good afternoon. Very good afternoon, sir, Manoj sir, Sarda, and all other participants. It's a great privilege to listen Professor Deshmukh, and it is possible because of the team effort of economics management, Kaligod University. I thank Dr. Deshmukh in my core of my heart for a healthy session and healthy discussion. I would like to thank our Vice Chancellor for his permission and all other members. And I thank all the participants for their participation and for very nice questions. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all the participants. We will look for future opportunities, and we will request Professor Deshmukh. We will request you for further sessions. Sir, kindly enlighten us with your knowledge and experiences. And all other participants, we are really indebted for your patient hearing and participation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul.
Thank you.
Rahul ji, many thanks.
Rahul, many thanks.
Sir, all thanks to Professor Deshmukh, all thanks to Professor Das. Like, I've got an opportunity to hear Deshmukh sir after long years. So this is a big opportunity for me.
Very great.
Dr. Sunil Latra is also here, sir.
Sunil, how are you?
Hello, good evening, sir. I am very fine.
Sunil, how are you?
I am very fine, sir.